So today, we're diving into a story that has echoed through the ages, a timeless tale of how pure, unwavering faith can bring down the mightiest of giants. It's the incredible story of a shepherd, a king, and one single stone that would go on to change everything.
I want you to just picture this for a moment. A people, once chosen and favored by God, are now completely and utterly broken. Their hands, which once were raised in prayer, now just tremble at the very thought of even picking up a sword. This was the harsh reality for the Bani Israel, the children of Israel. They were a nation totally crushed by their enemies, literally drowning in fear and despair.
So how did it get this bad? How did they fall so far? Our story really kicks off in a land where the people of Bani Israel had lost everything. And I mean everything, including their hope.
The scale of their suffering was just immense. They were forced out of their homes, their sons were being systematically slaughtered, and their cities were under constant attack. They had become slaves in their own land. They were losing every single battle they fought. Their sacred relics were stolen, their faith was being openly mocked. They were just a scattered, defeated people.
At this absolute lowest point, they finally turn to their prophet, Samuel. And they make this one desperate plea. Not for money, not for comfort, but for a leader. They said, "Give us a king who can unite us and lead us into battle, so we can fight in the way of Allah and finally get our dignity back."
And you know what? Their prayer was heard. But the answer they got from the divine, well, it was not at all what they were expecting.
The command from Allah was crystal clear. Taloot would be their king. Not some famous general, not a wealthy prince from a royal family, but a man named Taloot, who frankly, nobody had really heard of.
And this is where you can really see the huge disconnect. The people wanted a king from a royal bloodline, someone with wealth, status, the whole package. Instead, they get Taloot, a guy from a poor family, a total commoner. And they protested. They said, how can he be king over us? But what they didn't see was that Allah had gifted him with two things that mattered way more than money: incredible knowledge and amazing physical strength. So here's the key takeaway, right? Divine selection isn't based on your bank account or your family tree. Taloot was chosen for his character. He had the one thing that they were all missing: the raw courage to stand up and face tyranny. He actually traveled from city to city, bringing his scattered people back together, reminding them that true honor comes from obeying God, not from the might of swords.
Okay, so they have their king, they're building an army. But before they could even think about facing their enemy, this brand new army had to face a test from within. This was a test of their discipline, their obedience, and, most importantly, their faith.
Picture this. You've got this army of thousands of men marching for days and days through a scorching hot desert. Their throats are completely dry, their bodies are exhausted, and then they see it. Off in the distance, a river. Can you imagine? It's the ultimate temptation. And just as they're all rushing towards it, Taloot delivers the command from Allah. This river, it was a test. They were only allowed to drink what they could scoop up in a single handful. That's it. Anyone who drank more would be sent packing. Now, the command was strict, but their thirst, it was just overwhelming.
The result was, well, staggering. The vast, vast majority of them just gave in to their thirst and drank freely from the river. When it was all said and done, when the test was over, only 313 soldiers were left. A tiny, purified force whose faith had proven stronger than their physical desires. They were few, for sure, but they were the absolute best. So now the stage is set. This small, faithful army is about to go up against an impossibly large enemy force, and the entire fate of the battle is going to come down to a single fight between two champions, a terrifying giant and a young, unknown shepherd boy. So let's look at the matchup, right? It's almost comical. On one side, you have Jaloot, or Goliath. They called him an Iron Mountain. This was a warrior so massive, so terrifying, that entire armies were just freeze in fear at the sight of him. And on the other side, a young shepherd named Dawood, or David. His only combat experience was like fighting off lions to protect his flock. And his weapon? A simple slingshot.
As all the other soldiers trembled before Jaloot, Dawood stepped forward. See, he looked past the giant's armor and he saw something else, a direct challenge to God's honor. King Jaloot even offered him his own royal armor, but Dawood refused it. His trust wasn't in steel. His trust was in God.
This fight wasn't for fame or glory, it was for Allah and Allah alone.
And so it began. The two champions met on the battlefield. The air itself seemed to stand still. The fate of two entire nations was now resting on this one single climactic showdown. Jaloot looks down at this young shepherd walking towards him and just roars with laughter. Pure contempt. He sees a kid with a stick and some stones, and to him it's just an insult. His arrogance was absolute as he mocked Dawood.
But Dawood, he wasn't rattled at all. His confidence wasn't in himself, it was in God. He wasn't intimidated by the mockery, he wasn't intimidated by the size of this guy. His reply was just the simple, powerful declaration of faith that completely silenced the giant's taunts and echoed across that whole battlefield.
So Dawood just reaches into his bag, takes out one single, smooth stone and places it in his slingshot. The entire battle, all the hopes, all the fears of his people, were now focused on this one humble little weapon.
He swung the sling. The stone flew true, and it struck Jaloot right on the forehead. And in an instant, the Iron Mountain, that massive symbol of arrogance and raw power, came crashing down to the ground. The giant was defeated.
The victory was absolute, just unbelievable. But what does this incredible event teach us about what power really is? What is true strength? Let's unpack the lessons from this, because they are huge.
This story really shines a light on some profound truths. First off, it shows us that real strength doesn't come from armies or weapons, it comes from divine help. A small, faithful group can overcome literally any odds if God is on their side. Second, it shows that when you humble yourself for God, He elevates you. Dawood, the humble shepherd boy with nothing, was later made both a prophet and a king. And finally, it teaches us that no matter how big and scary and intimidating falsehood seems, it's actually fragile. It can be shattered by the simple, unwavering power of true faith.
And as if they needed any more proof, a final, tangible sign of God's favor was sent to them. A sacred chest, the Ark of the Covenant, was returned to the people of Bani Israel. This ark, which held relics from the prophets Moses and Aaron, was a physical symbol that confirmed Taloot's kingship. It signaled that God's peace and presence, the spiritual heart they had lost, had finally come back to them.
And so, this story isn't